Good afternoon. Welcome to the next episode of Flintco Talks. It's your boy DanO here today, live in the Austin office, and I'm extremely excited to have my new friend, Miss Pat Coleman, here today. Pat is a recent hire of our sister company, Alberici, and she is the Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Pat, welcome to Flintco Talks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thanks for the invitation, DanO.
You bet. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
You liking the weather in Austin?
I'm loving the weather in Austin.
That's good. That's good. We're so glad to have you here today. I wanted to take today's podcast to talk a little bit about you, right? To understand who you are, for the Alberici folks, the Flintco folks, to really know who Pat is and why you're going to be a great fit for our company. So if you could just start off telling me a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into the role you're in today and just what it's like been along the way on this journey for you.
Yes, I'll tell you about my journey. I'll start off with, I am a woman of faith. I am a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a sister, aunt, and I'm a mentor, I would say. And so that's me personally. My journey comes from, many years ago, I started professionally. I started at an organization. It's a nonprofit. And when I went to that organization, I went there as an HR consultant. I was very interested in helping small businesses to have their HR initiatives carried out without having the monies for an actual department in the organization. So I worked with small businesses back then. And I was introduced to behavioral health response, BHR, and I started there, as I said, as a consultant. From being a consultant, I ended up working full-time for the organization. So I built their HR department from the ground up. Through a period of years, I ended up working that organization in every possible area, from HR manager to the VP of HR to the VP of operations to the chief operating officer. And thus, in 2012, I succeeded the CEO and became the CEO of the organization, and that was 10 years ago.
Wow. Nice.
So my mental health background, I've completed all of my studies, my colleges in St. Louis. I attended St. Louis University as an undergraduate, and I received my MBA from Fontbonne. For me, I was raised in St. Louis in an underserved community. My parents, they really taught me, Pat, take your eyes off yourself and put them on others. And that has been something that's been the central part of me. These were parents that neither of my parents, they came from the South, and they only had an elementary education. But having education for us was very important. And so I'm a first generation college graduate in the family, and nice. I feel good about leading the way. We have other college graduates since then. Working at BHR, being a 24/7, it was 24/7 crises. For the mentally ill, or if someone was having some type of mental health crisis. It was a free 24 hours a day. So I really learned the skills of working in crises work, and I learned other skills such as giving back to our community. So working in that nonprofit really set me up to be sort of where I'm at today. After 10 years at the organization, probably around the 8-year mark, I started feeling as if, hey, I'm really wanting to set BHR up for success. So I put together a succession plan along with the board and the executive team, and we started to work on a succession plan. I brought in a chief operating officer, and for 3 years we had the opportunity to work together until the day I walked in to say, hey, the time has come. The organization is healthy. Our people are healthy, the finances are healthy, and so it's just time for me to move on because I am very interested in the next generation of leadership, and I feel I prepared them to take the organization which it should be. Thus, that led to me just saying, I'm thinking about leaving BHR. I want a second chapter, but whatever that second chapter is, it must it must create impact. It must be able to create some type of impact. So thus, by that, a friend heard me say that. She heard about the position at Alberici. I went out to lunch with a couple of the EVPs, and as soon as I started to talk to them, I'm like, that piques my interest because I feel like I come to the organization, although have not been in this particular industry, that I can do something that can have an impact.
Great story. My goodness. First generation college. That's so cool. It's great to have you here. I'm
Thank you.
super excited about your role in the organization and get to know you more today. I've got 20 questions after your opening story, so we might be here for a couple hours. But first question I wanted to ask you today is, why does your role matter in today's world? Why does it matter?
This role matters, diversity, equity, inclusion, and of course, we're going to talk about belonging as well. It really matters because when you look at it doesn't even matter what industry it is, but if you look at the demographics that are coming into this generation, so we have to look at the generations that are coming behind us. They're looking for a diverse workforce. We have to look at, especially in the construction industry, we're looking at more women coming into the industry, more minorities coming into the industry. And so it is best that we prepare ourselves because this is where the world is going. This is the way that we're going to look moving on into the future. And so it is very important that we all have the opportunity to understand and feel and know what it is to work with a diverse population.
Great answer. I wanted to ask you from your perspective, what does DEI mean to you, right? When people hear that term, everybody's mind goes a different way. They think, oh, it's this, it's this, it's this. Your role in the organization, how would you kind of define it, right? I've read your bio and read the way Alberici defines it. I'd love to hear how you kind of define it and maybe kind of what are we going to do marching forward that's going to be different, that's going to help us as a company as a whole.
I just believe that when you look at diversity, you're hiring all aspects of representation. Then when you look at equity, we're going to give employees the resources that they need to thrive and succeed. Then when you look at inclusion, you want employees to come to work and feel valued. And then we're going to, of course, add the belonging piece. So with the belonging, we'll have belonging is a feeling, it's a sense of community, it's a sense of connectedness. And so if we're going to look at the belonging piece, we're going to really make sure that I can come to work and I can bring my authentic self, my true self. Pat can come and bring her culture. Pat can bring her perspectives. Pat can bring her beliefs. Pat can bring her values. And there's a lot of power in that.
I think there is a lot of power. To hear the word belonging, when we had dinner last night, you brought up belonging, and I thought about that a lot over the last, 12 or 15 hours. And belonging is something I feel like when you have it, you don't know you have it. But when you lose it, it's obvious that you've lost it, right? Is there a part in your life where you feel like that played in you, maybe that your parents instilled in you when they talked about taking your eyes off yourself and putting your eyes on others, and where belonging became important to you?
Yes, belonging, I had to learn about belonging along the way. For me, especially being in a leadership position for many years, I've always been invited to the table. I get the invitation, and for them, that is being included. Now you've included me, but that doesn't mean that I feel as if I belong. And if I could talk about from a leadership perspective, I can sit at tables and I have sat at tables where I'm dismissed, or my ideas or my input doesn't matter. It shows up that it doesn't matter because I'm being dismissed. But it's when I'm sitting at those tables, which for me, I know and have learned over a period of years that every table that I'm invited to, I belong there. But that takes some maturity to get to that point. You have to get a little bit mature to realize that I belong at that table. And once I learned through the years to take those things off my sleeve, because when you don't feel like you belong, you know you're being invited to the table, you walk in with all of this stuff on your sleeves. Oh, I'm going to be the only woman. I'm going to be the only black person. They're going to dismiss me. So once I learned how to take all of that off my sleeves and to just show up as my true authentic self, that is when I found that I was able to really make a contribution. And then once I'm able to do that, the belonging follows later.
Right. As soon as you're able to make a contribution and the people realize it, it's much easier to feel like you belong, right? And feel like you found your role somehow, some way.
Yes.
I love what you said a minute ago about giving back to the community. How is giving back to the community going to be part of your role as well?
For me, because I was taught that at an early age, and I don't even believe that you're a true leader if you're not giving back to your community. You're not a true leader unless you're doing that. And so for us to thrive as an organization and for us to thrive in our community, we must give back. And when you look at small businesses, 2/3 of the dollars that are invested into small businesses, that money is put back into the community. And community is really what it's all about. And so that is always at the top of mind of giving back to the community.
That helps give you a sense you belong too, right?
Yes.
And when people drive by and they'll drive by our office and see the Flintco sign, they're like, oh, I remember when they gave back, or they see the Alberici sign and think that as well.
Yeah, so we all are responsible for our communities, especially in our communities. Definitely from a diverse perspective, we should look like the communities that we're working in or that we're doing business in.
Yeah, it's funny when we bid on projects, we want, if it's a city project, we want them to choose somebody from Austin. We're like, hey, pick us, we're here in Austin, choose us. And that's exactly our charge here as well.
Yes.
What you said about joining the company when you first interviewed with the EVPs about creating impact. Talk about that a little bit, right? Impact's a big word, right?
Yes,
and I hear
it is.
impact and I think there's a plan somewhere in your mind of, hey, this is what my charge, this is what I want to carry out here in your tenure at Alberici. What are you thinking?
I just know that we're going to become a diverse workforce, and that right now I'm on a listening tour. It benefits me and it benefits the company for me to learn about the culture of the organization and the culture of our communities. And so I'm on this listening tour. I've had about over 75 one-on-ones.
Oh, wow.
And now I'm moving into the group feedback sessions because I need to start there. That is just a baseline. And I'm hoping from that to be able to move into doing surveys and ultimately building a framework for Alberici where we will become a diverse workforce and definitely a place where people will want to come because we will be that employer of choice.
I love that term, listening tour.
Yes.
Right? That's not something that when you hear tour, you think of a band or you think of somebody with a book or a preaching tour or something like that where you're going out and doing something, and I commend you for doing that, right? I've been in a situation where somebody new comes in to manage the group, and it's like, we're going to do it my way. And it's like, hold up, man, we got some experience here.
Yes.
We've got ways that we like to do things. So I think that's great. When you've been on this listening tour, 75 one-on-one, 76 now.
Yes,
I'm
right.
proud to be in the top 76. What are things that have stood out to you? What are people telling you that in your mind you're going, oh, I need to hold on to that, or, oh, I'm glad they're doing that? Are there things that have stood out to you?
Yes. I would say that number one, it's been so welcoming And I know that from talking to people that they are excited about this role and seeing what it's going to do, because they are looking forward to a diverse workforce as well. And what is standing out is the fact that workforce. And so me knowing that I'll help have a piece of that, building the workforce of the now and of the future, is going to be beneficial to our community, and being able to work with the diverse suppliers. I only believe that that is when Alberici really will. We've been a very successful organization. Flintco has been a very successful organization. And in order to keep our success moving forward, we must have a diverse workforce. We must look at our talent acquisition, our retention, and I'm really interested in the retention piece as well, and the development of the people that we're bringing into the organization. So the belonging piece, again, if you focus on the belonging piece, that will definitely help with the retention of people wanting to stay, the diverse workforce wanting to stay over a period of time.
I totally agree. I really couldn't agree more, right? We always talk about what does better look like, right? And that's a question we at Flintco ask ourselves constantly, right? Because there's always a better way, and you have to have kind of a growth mindset to want to think that way, because like I described a minute ago, it's kind of the fixed mindset of, hey, this is the way we do things, but what does better look like requires growth from us. And so you brought up that belonging and retention again, right?
That's my jam.
That's right. In the 2027 vision for Flintco, we have this mantra about retire with Flintco, right? Is there anything else on the belonging topic you want to explore today, or something else we can talk about to help with that retention, or something you're going to try to do?
Again, with that piece of people having a sense of belonging, I have the mental health background. So mental well-being is extremely important as well. We have so many people walking around us who are wounded and don't even realize that this is a place that you could feel and have some depression going on or some anxiety going on. And once I got here and found out we're the second industry, construction industry, it's the second industry for suicides. If we can help people to feel well and be there for them, along with helping them to succeed at their jobs, we're going to be untouchable. That will lead to, people don't like to hear about bottom lines, right? But the bottom line is that can lead to a healthy bottom line, thus having healthy employees who is delivering the work as well.
Yeah, if you feel like you belong, or if you have an identity inside the organization, it's fun to come to work.
Yes.
Right? You enjoy it. It's a good place to be. It's a safe place to be. It's a place where you can excel, right? And it's a place where you can help the bottom line, right? As much as we don't like to say that, but if you're doing your work and you're enjoying what you're doing, it's totally a great place to work, right?
Yes, and think about that safe, feeling safe. It's this thing of psychological safety. I want to be able to bring my full self to work and feel safe in doing that, not being reprimanded for the way that I possibly do things. That's being able to welcome that diverse workforce and the diverse perspectives and the diversity of thought that will come to the table. So that is what helps with the belonging as well.
Yeah, it's just like you said about coming to the meeting and having these things on your sleeve that, and being able to shed those and show up as your real self really allows you to excel, right?
Yes.
So you brought up the mental health a second ago, and I wanted to dive into that and talk about maybe why or how DEI and mental health kind of interact with each other, and maybe why that's becoming such a big a priority or the new buzzword in the construction industry. It's new to some of us. It's been around for some of us. How does that relate?
That's because we're getting more open talking about mental health. It's not like it hasn't been there. It's been taboo. And so mental health comes with a lot of shame. And so people are usually quiet about it. So the more that we talk about it to try to normalize it, people will feel a little bit more comfortable talking to their bosses or telling someone when they're in some kind of pain. There's different kinds of pain. Depression, you may not be able to see it, but it's painful. And there are 3 words. Our theme for Suicide Prevention Month was, "Are you okay?" And just think of the power of that. You go to work and you spend all of these hours at work, and for someone to just ask you, "Are you okay?" And sincerely mean that. That's powerful. Even knowing that we have these time constraints, we have a job to get done. But in the midst of that, I still want to know, are you okay?
And the person being asked the question have the confidence to be able to say, "Hey, I'm not.
Yes.
And this is why I'm not."
Yes, well, it's more the safeness of it.
Sure,
Yeah.
right? And you just said the word shame, and it went to my mind, and I was like, oh my gosh, there is shame, and I haven't thought of it like that.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
when I think of like the times I've had to go to therapy, right? I'm telling the folks at the job site, it's like, hey man, I got to go to therapy. You know, there's a little bit of shame in that, but at the same time, it's freeing.
Yes.
At the same time, you're saying, hey, it's okay to not be
free.
okay.
It is okay to not be okay.
It is, right? And so there are professionals out there, right, that can help you with what you're dealing with,
Yes.
and it's okay to feel some of that shame because it's pretty minute.
Yes, and let's start with our EAP programs, our Employee Assistance Program,
Yes.
which is grossly underutilized. And you can use that program to be able to start there. It is a free program that's offered by the employer, that's
Yep.
offered by Flintco, offered by Alberici. And so let's use that and use those resources. But at the same time, putting that as a part of people health and wellness. There is no physical health without mental health. We
Amen.
really do try to separate them, but there should not be a separation there.
And as a supervisor, I would say anybody that's listening, as a supervisor, if you're not okay and you're my direct report, I want to know,
Yes.
right? If I'm not in tune enough to know that, I want you to be confident enough to tell me that, right?
Yes.
Because as a team, we can work together. We can lift you up. We can get you support. We can take some of your workload away. We can
Yes.
change your assignment, whatever it might be, because we can't function as a great team unless we all feel like we belong.
And then how wonderful is it to have an organization like an Alberici and like a Flintco that is openly talking about this now, that's having ambassadors on the jobs where even if you're on the work site, you'll know this person is someone that you can go to, that you could tell them that you're not, feeling well or you're struggling with something. And so I commend the organization. They've been working on it for a few years now, and that is very commendable of the organization to have that. Now we just need to make sure that it is dispersed throughout the entire organization.
That's right.
So all of our employees will feel that safety.
Yeah, and if you got something going on, get your hand in the air, right?
Yes.
You just want to, I've never had or never gone to anybody and said, hey, I'm dealing with something, and them saying, suck it up, DanO. I'm sorry. You're going to have to keep working whatever hours you're working, and you don't have time to do this. Or it's always like, hey, you've got to be well, right? Let's
Yes.
take the time and let's get it well. And if you need to go here, you need to go there, and need to leave early this day to take care of that, let's make it happen.
It is wonderful. It's a beautiful thing. The other thing with DEI that I would like to bring up is the fact of I'm going to push us being comfortable with being uncomfortable. This work is it's heavy. It's a lot of work to be done, and it's pretty heavy. But all of us together, if we just work together, we can get it done. Some people may feel that sense of, oh, I don't know why we're doing this or why we have to do this. But if we all stick in this together and work hard towards this, we'll look back some years behind us and say, wow, this is the norm. This is what it looks like. And this
Right.
is why we did it. We are still at an organization that is thriving and succeeding.
Yeah, there's always naysayers, right? There's always somebody that's going to sit in the back and go, well, I don't know why we have to change. I don't know why I have to do this or do that. But
Yes.
I mean, real live examples of people coming to work for us will look on the website and say, oh my gosh, look, this is who the executives are in the company, right? Where's the diversity, right? I'm not going to work there. And it's like, hold up, come be a part of the solution, right? That's why we want you to work. We're taking an active approach to this.
And I say that for the employees that are working there now, we're taking an active approach and just join in with us. Both companies, we have diversity for us. It's called the DEIB committee. We have these committees and people that are volunteering. This is strictly volunteer. That you come and you work on this committee and help be a part of the change that we're about to make at the organization.
I love it. I absolutely love it. The next question I want to ask you is, what are we doing currently to improve workforce diversity? Or is there something that's in the works that you're working on that's going to help us get there?
I would say that there are many things that's going on, and the organization was working on it even before I came. But there's one thing that right now that we're looking at is called employee resource groups.
Okay.
So we're real excited about that. That'll roll out in early of 2024. And the employee resource groups are getting the underrepresented groups together. It's employee-led and it's volunteer. They will get together, and from those groups, they'll build trust among amongst their group. They can build trust. They can also gain personal and professional development. They can have a place to come to where they could talk about maybe some of their experiences, and they'll find that someone else probably felt the exact same way. So for an example, there may be a veterans group, there may be a Black-led group, there may be a group of young professionals. There may be a group for military families, someone that's dealing with military. There are so many groups that there may be a woman's group. And we already have some things like that's happening. And so we're putting the guidelines together for that right now. And that will help us to build that sense of belonging as I start to, me, myself, maybe get in a group that is talking about and telling about some of the experiences that they are feeling or that they've been through. And I'm able to finally say, oh, you too? How did you handle that? What did you do about that? And things like that. So,
and there's a lot of people, and everybody, at our company, and everybody's got a different experience, but we've all experienced kind of the same things, right? And having that opportunity to share that and talk about that. I'm drawn back to what your parents said about taking your eyes off yourself and putting them on others, because I think that's such a profound concept, especially as humans. Instinctually, we're looking out for ourselves.
I never would have come to this organization if that wasn't at the forefront of my mind, or anything that I get involved in, even if it's in the community. I lead with that.
Why do you think that's what your parents chose to instill from you, or that's what you hold on to today?
My parents, they were people of faith as well. And again, I'll go back to them just having an elementary education. And it's about hope. It's about wanting more. It's about, if you look and you take your eyes off of you and you put them on others, you will be blessed. I truly believe that. And so in the workplace, if I take my eyes off me, put it on others. If I take my eyes off me, put it on these guidelines. If I take my eyes off me, put it on these initiatives that we're trying to do, I believe that the organization as a whole is going to benefit from it.
In the next year or maybe 18 months, is there any major goal, or is there anything that you're saying, hey, in the next 18 months, we want to have this installed, after you're listening to her? I'm sure that's still a few more months, and then you'll kind of get to work. What's the first charge for you?
We'll have a framework.
There you go.
We will have a framework that we will go by, because all of the information would have been collected, and then we'll look at it. We'll go and we'll push out some things. And so we will have a framework, a DEIB framework that very much will align with the actual goals of the organization. And one of the goals is to be the employer of choice.
The employer of choice, absolutely. Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about the Alberici University and kind of things that we've been doing at Alberici to help other companies kind of come up and come along, and how we're going to continue to do that?
Yes, that's a program that they should be very proud of. It started in 1999, and it's an award-winning program. And what they do is they get the small businesses and the disadvantaged businesses, and they go through like a 7-month program plus a graduation afterwards. And they get the opportunity to come in and work side by side and gain important skills for their organization. And we have our experts, our employees that they are working side by side with, that will come in and talk to them about things like estimating, safety, bid preparation, finance, HR, some of the things that they get that from us for free. So that it can help take them from this level to that level. So that's a great program.
Yeah, and we've had, I don't know how many companies that have come through it, but that's something that we're going to continue to do and continue to help grow. Like I said at the beginning, we wanted to talk about you. Is there anything else in particular about you that you want to share, that you want the people of your company to know about you? Any fun facts or anything?
I have a fun fact.
Yeah, let's hear it.
My most cherished title to date, and the best title to date, is Granny.
Oh, Granny. Tell us the Granny story.
That's a fun fact.
Tell us.
I am Granny. My first grandchild, I tried to teach her to call me Grammy. I was in that denial stage. When the deal go down, I'm still grandma. I'm grandmother. I'm the whole 9 yards. And so I tried to teach her to call me Grammy, but it never came out that way, and I became Granny. And I hold that title very close to my heart. And so you have children, and after having children and you get these grandchildren, it's a whole new world. It's a whole new life that brings you joy. And that's my fun fact.
That's awesome. As a woman of faith, how does that impact your daily routine and your role at our company?
Yes, I am a woman of faith. I start each day off with prayer. I'm a big person on affirmations as well. And so that has helped to prepare me for, I just believe that I was put here to make a difference. And anytime you're making a difference, that is hard work. It takes courage. It takes grit. There's so much that goes into that. And I believe because of me being a woman of faith, I'm able to endure what is needed in that work.
Amen. I love the affirmation part.
Yes.
Right? Because I think affirmation, it solidifies the belonging.
Yes.
Right? You can, like you said, be invited to the party. You can sit at the table, and at some point, the switch turns and the affirmations come, and you realize that you truly are valued. Right? You're not just invited; that you do belong.
Yes, and that you do belong. And pinches, you'll get those pinches. They hurt too.
Yeah.
They don't feel good. There are some ouches, you know. Those pinches, you'll get those along the way. And all of our employees with this particular work in the DEIB space, there are going to be some pinches along the way. But for me, I've learned how to stay the course. I take a step back and I think about those pinches and try not to react to them, and really able to move forward and get the agenda moved forward to where it should be.
Absolutely. I think as a supervisor, sometimes administering the pinches is tough, but sometimes administering the affirmations are rewarding as well, right?
Yes.
And I think that's something we could do better at, whether it's in your personal life, whether it's in your work life or your family life or church life, is that affirmation, right? And letting people know that they are appreciated, right?
Yes. But think about it. Even coming here, and then we also have it at Alberici's headquarters. You have affirmations all around you. So there are affirmations at work if you accept that they are affirmations.
That's right. Yeah.
And they are all around you. And when things get a little rough, just step up, walk outside of your office or your workspace, and go and look at the things that they have written on the board and what the core values are. And they do have affirmations.
Absolutely.
And that can help you in your work as well. But someone may say, well, I'm on the job site, and I don't see that as much, or I don't see that as often. You can always write something down that resonates with you yourself, put it in your pocket, and just pull it out whenever you need it. It's free.
No, that's exactly right. It's a great reminder, right? Because it's kind of when you're down and you feel like you're out of the belonging side, you need those affirmations, right? You need some kind of reminder to say, hey, this is why I started this journey, right? This is why I'm here. This is what we're going to bring. We're going to change the world, whatever it might be.
It has to be something way out there, because once you reach that level of belonging, it's hard to take it away. Mm-hmm. It's extremely hard to take it away. There has to be some type of true massive change in order for that belonging piece to be taken away at work.
As you've grown in your DEI role, what are some new trends that you're seeing? Like if you think about where we were 5 years ago and maybe where we're heading, maybe as an industry as a whole, what are some new trends that are out there that you're keying in on and saying, man, that's something we definitely need to do?
Yes, it's the belonging piece. It's always been DEI, or DNI, diversity and inclusion, but it really is that belonging piece and being able to zone in on the equity piece of it as well. And a lot of the trends are reactive. And for us to go from being reactive to proactive is going to serve us well. We shouldn't let things that's happening out in the community be the first time we say we're committed to that, or we're going to make this statement. We want it to be something that's embedded into the organization. And so that's some of the trends. Other trends that you hear may not be as positive. Everyone is fighting for DEI. We have all of these things that's happening around us, and I'm not worried about it, but some people are worried about the fact that is DEI going away because some organizations, they only did it because of responding and now feeling that that's the first place that they'll touch and say, well, actually, we really don't need that. I don't too much worry about that at organizations like Alberici and Flintco, because I do see the dedication, or they never would have put the resources into hiring someone like me.
Absolutely. What are some tips and tricks that you could give to our listeners here about enforcing that belonging piece, right? I mean, being able to feel like you belong, I think it probably takes a couple things, but if you're a supervisor and you're listening, what kind of advice could you give on the belonging piece?
I would just say that put it at the top of your list of helping to make people feel valued. Belonging is a feeling. It's a feeling of connectedness. And so if there is any way that you could help your employees to feel connected, do so. And that's going to require you to spend a little bit of time with them.
Yes.
And having them to spend a little bit of time with the team. And so you're going to have to, it's an effort that you will have to be very intentional about. And then it will definitely help people to get their belonging piece together.
I think it is. It's definitely intentional, right? I mean, the question that you referenced, are you okay? Great question to ask. If the connection's there, you're going to get the honest answer.
Very much so.
If the connection's not there, you're going to get, all good, boss, right? And we're going to move on about the way. Something I like to do when I get assigned to a new project team is to kind of sit down and talk with my team members and just learn a little bit about them.
Yes.
Hey, tell me where you're from, where you grew up. Why in the world did you choose construction, right? Of all the things you could have picked, why are you here? And then like to hear about, the Flintco story, and then really talk to them about like, hey, what do you like to do on the weekend for fun? That kind of stuff. And once you begin to get to know them, right now that we're getting to know you a little bit better, right? The relationship is there, right? The connection is there. And once that's formed, then comes the belonging, right? It's kind of the follow-up and the check-ins of how are things going, positive affirmations. Every now and then you got to do a little course correction, but then positive affirmations after the course correction, right?
Yes, it takes a little bit of work, but we just should be intentional. You have to be intentional. That is another word that comes to mind when you're talking about this and you're talking about the work. And to help people to feel as if they belong. You can help in that sense, but I also want to encourage supervisor or anyone else that's listening to me is that it's on you as well. You need to take the initiative to, again, I invite myself to tables or I create a table. Whatever it takes, I'm going to belong. Yeah, I truly believe that.
And the intentional part it's key, right? It takes work. It doesn't just happen. It doesn't happen by osmosis. It doesn't happen by sitting by somebody for 6 months. It takes a conscious effort to say, hey, tell me about yourself.
Yes.
And then be an active listener, right?
And then that active listening is a skill. And then learning how to be approachable, because sometimes people are going to come to you because it could have been something that you said, or maybe you look like me. It could be a variety of reasons why people are coming and seeking you out. So be approachable when those times happen, and you have to put a lot of work into it. You just want to create these environments and these teams and to help people feel as if they belong.
Being approachable seems hard, right? When people say, oh, well, you're not very approachable. And I think the first part of being approachable is looking at somebody in the eyes. When they come into your office, are you sitting here typing an email? Or are you looking at your phone? Or are you looking at your plans or writing? Somebody comes in and says, hey, can we talk for a second? And you say, yeah, we can talk for a second. And you're not paying attention to them, right?
Yes.
And therein lies part of the belonging as well, right? When you go into somebody's office, you want to feel like you're a part and that you have their attention. And we're all busy, but at the same time, the question could be 15 seconds. And taking that 15 seconds to look them in the eyes and say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit more. Sit down for a second. Can I finish this email? And then we can start the conversation, right?
And we should, I'll tell you a personal story. We should always look at ourselves as well. This wasn't in the work environment. It was at church. And we went to see a play.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
I was coming from the bathroom, and I see these two old ladies, which happened to be the oldest ladies at our church. They both were approaching about 100 years old, seriously. But they were holding each other's hands, and they were confused. They had walked away, and they couldn't figure out to get back where we were sitting. And so I went over, and I offered to take them to their seats, and that was really nice. And the next Sunday, one of the ladies, she pulled me to the side, and she said, I really thought that you thought you were all that. You have never really spoken to me, and I just saw you a particular kind of way. I felt so bad.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, I've never spoken to you, in which I never saw her.
Right.
And what would happen is she would always be way over in the corner, and I would come in, and I just go in and get where I'm sitting at. Never looked at what was happening or what was going on around me. So really, basically, her telling me that was on me. But she said, I apologize to you because I just automatically put you somewhere where I see you're a very kind and nice person. And so that helped me to open my eyes up to pay attention to people around me, or just when I walk into a room or when I walk into an office or a location, I'm always looking around me to make sure that I don't come across as if I'm not approachable,
right,
or I'm not paying you any attention. And it just helped me in those kind of ways. And after that, she even mentioned the words belonging to me, believe it or not, because you help me to feel as if I belong, because when you get old like this, people don't pay you any attention. Because after that encounter, I made a point every week to go and speak to my new friends.
Yeah,
exactly. I was with my new friends, both of them, until they were like 104 years old.
And then, but how long did it take you to do that?
It didn't take much.
Nothing.
I never noticed.
You didn't lose those 20 seconds or look back. It's like, golly, if I could have been doing something else for that 20 seconds and it made an impact, right?
Yes. Get to know your employees. Some likes to be praised in front of everyone. Some, they may prefer the praise behind the scene. And once you get to know people, then you can figure out how to bring them into the fold, and that helps with that belonging piece as well.
And if they feel like they're a piece or they're a part, they're going to make other people feel like they're a part, right? It's almost like the mob mentality, right? Somebody says something and everybody joins in, whether it's good or bad. But if you start that belonging piece, it'll start and grow, and it'll grow all the way through the company. And like you said, then we'll be a force to be reckoned with. So as individuals, as folks that are listening today, thanks for listening, by the way, what can we do to positively impact diversity and inclusion at work? And what can we do to help you in your position move forward? Is there anything else you wanted to share with us about that?
Yes, be open to it. Reach out to me. I am accessible, and let me know what you're feeling about things. This is not just a Pat thing, it's an organizational thing. And so it's going to take all of us working together. And so feel free to reach out. We could work on some ideas together. You could tell me some things that you've experienced before. I've had an employee reach out to me that started around the time I started. They're out in the field. They came from another organization. And so they shared with me some of the things that they learned at the other organization because they was on this DEI journey. And that meant a lot to me to take the time to do that. So we're in this together. I just want people to know, reach out to me. I am accessible, and I will listen to you.
On the listening tour
yes,
right now.
on my listening tour, which I will always probably be on that tour.
Right.
But feel free to reach out to me so we can do this magnificent work together. You've probably heard before, being comfortable is a beautiful thing and nothing happens there, you know? And I want us as an organization to feel butterflies. I always say to people, if you're not feeling butterflies, you're not growing.
That's right.
And we know growth is a constant thing at this organization. And so let's feel uncomfortable and grow together. And that's just why I just want people to really hear that from me.
We can't rest on yesterday's successes, right?
Yes.
Both these companies are over 100 years old, and,
Yes.
and we've been successful, but we've got to continue to change with the current environment and move forward.
Yes, with a diverse workforce.
That's right. That's exactly right. Is there any one last thought, if you think of people listening today, what do you want them to take away from today, besides you being accessible and granny and all that stuff? Is there anything else you can think of? Any wisdom you want to leave us with?
I don't know if it's wisdom, but I would like to leave everyone with this, is that diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is, even if after you hear this podcast, you could go and you could look it up. And all of us have a place within each one of those. And in all of those, we have a place there. And I want us to find our place there, which will help with us to move this organization forward. And so you do your own research. You go out and look at this thing and figure it out yourself as well. And again, together we're gonna make magic.
That's exactly right. If you're having trouble finding your place, get your hand in the air, let us know. Pat, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today. It was so great to get to meet you and get to know you a little bit better, and we're excited for the things you have in store for us.
Thank you, DanO.
You bet.
I love saying that.
Thanks again for coming. Y'all have a great one. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. If you are struggling with suicidal thoughts, or you think someone you know is, please don't wait. Call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org. To learn how to get support for mental health, drug, and alcohol issues, visit findsupport.gov. To locate treatment facilities or providers, visit findtreatment.gov or call their national helpline at 800-662-HELP. Thanks again for listening, and see you next time.